The battlefield in space was quiet now. Only drifting metal, scattered flames, and broken wrecks floated like ghosts between the stars. Hours earlier, it had been chaos. A fleet of alien warships, sleek, black, and bristling with weapons, had clashed with something unseen far beyond human reach. Earth did not know who their enemies had been fighting. All they knew was this: the aliens had lost. Their mighty fleet retreated in silence, their formation shattered, engines burning as they fled into the dark. But they did not take everything with them. They left something behind. A warship. It was massive, larger than any human city, its jagged hull glowing faintly with dying lights. Sparks spilled from deep wounds in its armor, as if the ship itself were bleeding fire. Slowly, it drifted toward the edge of Earth's solar system, silent and broken. Earth's telescopes caught the image first. Astronomers stared at their screens in disbelief. The data was rushed to military command. Soon after, world leaders saw the same sight: an alien warship, alive but crippled, abandoned in human space. Panic spread like wildfire. The United Earth Council called an emergency meeting. What if it's a trap? One general demanded. What if it explodes the moment we approach? Others argued back. What if it carries survivors? What if they wake up and attack Earth? And then came the most frightening idea of all. What if it repays itself? The alien ship floated closer, like a dead whale carried by the tide. It did not fire its weapons. It did not signal. But it did not fall completely dark either. Strange lights pulsed across its hull in slow rhythms, like the beat of a giant heart refusing to stop. Military fleets scrambled into action. Warships from every major nation raced toward the drifting hulk, forming a perimeter around it. Drone swarms scanned its surface. Recon teams studied its energy readings. The reports came back, one after another. No alien life signs detected. No transmissions leaving the ship. Power levels, unstable but active. The world held its breath. News spread across every screen, every channel, every phone. Billions of humans stared at the same haunting image: a wounded giant, dark and silent, hanging in orbit like a sleeping beast. Its shadow stretched across space, its outline jagged and alien, unlike anything Earth had ever built. Fear grew. Religious leaders called it an omen. Politicians called it a threat. Soldiers called it a target. And yet, not everyone agreed. In a quiet control room far from the cameras, a young engineer leaned closer to the screen. His voice was soft, almost trembling, but filled with awe. "If we can repair this," he whispered, "it could be stronger than all our armies combined." The words sent a chill through the room. The other scientists stared at him in silence. Was it madness to even think it? Or was it the greatest opportunity humanity had ever seen? Outside, the alien warship drifted slowly past the orbit of Mars, its engines flickering faintly, a dying animal refusing to collapse. Every time its lights pulsed, the humans watching felt uneasy, as though the ship was breathing, alive in some strange way. Military commanders argued on encrypted channels. Some wanted to destroy it immediately, to fire missiles and end the risk. Others shouted back, warning that even a single surviving weapon from that ship could wipe out entire fleets. But a few, a dangerous few, thought about what the young engineer had said. What if humanity could control it? The thought grew louder, spreading like fire in the minds of generals and scientists alike. A weapon like this could protect Earth forever. No alien empire would dare return. Humanity, weak and fragile for so long, could suddenly stand above them all. But the danger was just as clear. Alien technology was not meant for human hands. What if the ship turned against them? What if it carried hidden traps, secret codes, or an intelligence still waiting in the dark? The debate raged on. The whole world was watching. Billions held their breath. And still, the warship drifted. News channels replayed the same haunting scenes. Black metal torn open like wounds, glowing alien symbols burned into its hull, and silent cannons large enough to destroy continents. Some people prayed. Others celebrated. But most simply feared the silence, because silence meant no answers. Late at night, In one of the war rooms beneath Earth's surface, a general leaned over the table, staring at the hologram of the alien ship. His voice was low, grim, almost like a curse. "This thing, it's a relic of war. A cursed relic. Touch it, and it will burn us." Across the table, the young engineer spoke again, his eyes filled with determination. "No, sir. It's not a curse. It's a chance. The question is, do we have the courage to take it?" The room went silent, and above, far beyond human skies, the alien warship turned slowly in the void, its broken hull catching the light of the sun. It looked less like a machine and more like a dead titan, scarred and bleeding, yet refusing to fall. Suspense tightened across the world. Would humanity risk touching alien technology? Would they dare to wake the beast and claim it as their own? Or would they leave it drifting forever, a silent monster waiting for the day its masters returned? No one knew. But one thing was certain. The warship was not done with them yet. The alien warship drifted in silence, circling the edge of Mars's orbit like a predator that had bled but refused to die. Its black hull glimmered faintly, scarred with wounds, torn open in places where fire had eaten through its metal skin. Yet even in ruin, it looked unstoppable, like a giant with broken bones, still dangerous even as it fell. For weeks, humanity had watched from afar. Governments argued, scientists speculated, and soldiers waited nervously in orbit. But at last, the order was given. Board it. A fleet of human ships approached the alien wreck, each one small compared to the massive corpse floating before them. Drones went first, swarming like insects around the dark hulk. Cameras fed images back to Earth, jagged cracks in the armor, melted corridors still glowing faintly with heat, vast cannons silent but intact. The reports confirmed the unthinkable. No life signs detected. No defense systems active. No transmissions leaving the vessel. The giant was asleep, and so the humans dared to enter. The first boarding craft lashed onto the alien hull with magnetic claws. Its airlock cut slowly into the black metal, sparks flying as human tools struggled against material harder than any alloy known on Earth. The cut took hours. The engineers swore the hull almost healed while they worked, thin layers of strange metal trying to close over the wound. But finally, the door fell away, and humanity stepped inside. What they found chilled them. The interior was vast, far larger than any human ship. Corridors stretched endlessly, their walls covered in dark symbols that glowed faintly when touched by light. The floor was uneven, made of shifting plates that hummed softly as if still alive. Strange fluids floated in the air, droplets of glowing liquid that clung to suits and hissed when removed. The silence was worse than anything. Soldiers gripped their rifles tightly, the sound of their breathing loud inside their helmets. Every step echoed too far, as though the ship itself was listening. "Keep the cameras steady," a commander ordered. "The world is watching." Billions of humans were indeed watching, glued to their screens as the first explorers walked through alien halls. Reporters called it the second moon landing. But unlike the moon, this place felt hostile, cursed, dangerous. The deeper they went, the stranger it became. Some corridors were melted into black glass, as if struck by unimaginable fire. Other rooms were filled with broken machines, shards of alien armor, shattered drones, and weapons too complex to understand. One soldier pointed at a cannon that lined an entire wall. Its barrel was as long as a city street. He muttered, "This thing, it could cut a planet in half." Back on Earth, the words sent shockwaves through every living room. The ship was not just a relic. It was a weapon, one beyond human imagination. But what scared them most was not its size or its power. It was the feeling. Some explorers reported hearing faint whispers in the static of their comms. Others claimed the walls shifted slightly when they looked away, as though the ship disliked being observed. One engineer swore the lights pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. The captain of the boarding team dismissed it as nerves. "Stay sharp. Stay focused. This is just metal and wires." But deep down, even he was not sure. Hours passed. The team discovered chambers so large they could have housed skyscrapers. They found control panels covered in alien glyphs that glowed when touched, reacting to human skin with a faint warmth. Yet none of the systems responded fully. It was as though the ship resisted them, allowing them to look but not to command. Then came the most unsettling discovery. In the heart of the ship, they found what looked like a chamber of glass pods. Hundreds of them lined the walls, each one cracked open, empty. The glass was smeared with a dark residue that looked disturbingly organic. Escape pods, one scientist guessed. Or incubation chambers, another whispered. Silence followed. Nobody wanted to imagine what had once slept inside those pods, or if any remained. Back on Earth, the footage was cut before the public could see the chamber. The leaders knew panic would explode if people believed monsters had once lived inside that ship. The team pressed onward, though their unease grew heavier with every step. At last, they reached the central bridge. It was a cavernous space, glowing faintly with dying lights. A massive throne-like chair sat at the center, surrounded by controls no human could understand. The walls pulsed faintly, like veins carrying power through the ship. The young engineer who had first suggested repairing the warship stared in awe. This is not just a weapon. This is a living machine. The soldiers shifted nervously. Living or not, it's dead now, and it's going to stay that way. But the engineer shook his head. He placed his hand on one of the glowing panels. The ship responded instantly. The lights brightened. A low hum filled the chamber. The soldiers shouted warnings, rifles snapping into position. Step back. But the engineer's voice was calm, almost entranced. It's listening to us. The hum grew louder, spreading through the ship. Systems that had been dark flickered back to life. Strange glyphs crawled across the walls like fireflies awakening after a storm. On Earth, alarms rang in command centers. Energy readings from the warship spiked. The giant was not dead. It was waking. Shut it down, generals barked. Get them out of there. But inside the alien bridge, the engineer whispered, almost to himself, "It knows we're here." The warship trembled. The alien warship was not dead. When the young engineer's hand touched the glowing panel, the ship had stared, answering like a wounded animal lifting its head. Lights flickered. Systems hummed. Power surged through veins of black metal. And then, just as suddenly, it fell silent again. The boarding team retreated in a panic, dragging the engineer back to the docking craft. Their reports were hurried, voices shaking. The ship responded. The systems activated. It recognized us. By the time the team returned to orbit, the debate had already begun. In a hidden chamber beneath Earth's surface, the United Earth Council met in secret. The air was heavy with fear and ambition. Generals, scientists, and politicians sat around a massive holographic display, the alien warship spinning slowly above the table. One general slammed his fist against the surface. "This thing is a threat. It responded to us once. It will respond again. We should destroy it while we still can." Another voice cut through the noise. A senator, older and sharper than most. "Destroy it? Do you even realize what you're saying? That ship is more powerful than every navy on Earth combined. If we can learn its secrets, we will never need to fear an alien invasion again." Arguments ignited across the chamber. It could kill us all. It could save us all. It is not safe. It is the key to survival. The hologram pulsed as if mocking them, the broken warship spinning slowly in the light. At last, the council chairwoman raised her hand, silencing the room. Her voice was low but firm. "Listen to yourselves. You are blinded by fear and blinded by greed. But the truth is simple. The aliens left this behind. Maybe by mistake. Maybe on purpose. We cannot know. But it is here, in our space, under our watch. We cannot turn away." The room fell silent. She continued, "If we destroy it, we throw away the greatest opportunity humanity has ever been given. If we leave it drifting, we show weakness, and weakness invites conquest. The only path is clear. We study it, we learn it, and if possible, we make it ours." Murmurs spread. The decision had been made. The project was given a name. Iron Ghost. Officially, the wreck was declared too unstable to recover. The public was told it had been moved into deep orbit for safety, where drones would monitor it until it decayed naturally. But in truth, Iron Ghost was moved into a secret dock hidden beyond the asteroid belt. Only the highest levels of government and military knew the truth. Humanity was about to dissect an alien god. Scientists from across the world were quietly reassigned. Engineers, linguists, cybernetic experts, and even neurologists were brought in under heavy security. Families were told lies. Ships flew under false flags. Every piece of the operation was buried beneath layers of secrecy. Inside the hidden dock, the warship floated like a chained beast, surrounded by scaffolds and human ships buzzing around it like gnats. Floodlights illuminated its scarred hull. The dark symbols etched across its surface glowed faintly, resisting analysis. Work began. The first months were filled with frustration. Human tools broke easily against alien alloys. Computers failed to interface with the ship's strange systems. Even the symbols on the walls refused to be translated. No language database could match them. But there were breakthroughs. Scientists discovered the ship responded to touch, to thought, even to emotion. The young engineer who had awakened it was tested again. When he placed his hand on the control panels, the systems flickered alive for a few seconds longer than before. Others tried, with mixed results. Some were ignored by the ship completely. Others were shocked by arcs of electricity. One soldier collapsed into seizures when he touched the panels, his mind overwhelmed by something unseen. It was clear, the ship was not a simple machine. It was something more. While the scientists worked, the generals grew restless. They demanded progress. They wanted weapons. They wanted shields. They wanted proof that Iron Ghost was worth the risk. The lead scientist, a calm woman with sharp eyes, warned them. This ship is not meant for us. It resists us because we are strangers. We are trying to wear a skin that does not belong to us. If we push too hard, it will push back. Her warning was ignored. The generals ordered weapons testing. The ship was connected to human power sources, its massive cannons studded. For weeks, nothing worked. Then, during one attempt, the alien weapon hummed, and a beam of light shot across empty space, slicing an asteroid cleanly in half. The test was successful and terrifying. The council cheered in private. With this, Earth can never be conquered. But the scientists saw something else. The ship had fired, not because they had controlled it, but because it had chosen to. Meanwhile, rumors spread even within the secret project. Engineers whispered that the ship was alive, that it watched them, that it whispered in their dreams. Some said its lights pulsed in rhythm with human footsteps. Others swore the air inside its corridors grew warmer when they argued, colder when they were afraid. The young engineer, the first to touch its systems, spoke less and less. His eyes grew distant, his voice softer. He insisted he could feel the ship listening, waiting, like a predator in the dark. And deep in the shadows of the council chamber, one truth remained unspoken. The alien warship was no longer drifting. It was no longer abandoned. It was being claimed. But at what cost? The warship hung in its secret dock, silent but alive. Floodlights bathed its black hull in white glare. But no amount of light made it less alien. Its surface drank the brightness, swallowing it into shifting patterns that glowed faintly in return. Scientists called it a living alloy. Soldiers called it unnerving. Engineers called it something worse, aware. Every day, new teams entered its endless halls. They carried scanners, translators, machines designed to pry apart mysteries. But the warship resisted them. Doors closed when they tried to force entry. Panels sealed like wounds. Data vanished from computers the moment it was recorded. It was as though the ship had a will of its own. The young engineer, now famous within the secret project, was brought in again. His name was Daniel Cade, though most simply called him the Listener. He was the first human the ship had responded to. And now, he was the key to every test. Cade did not look the same as before. He was thinner, his eyes sunken, as if the ship had taken something from him. Yet when he touched its controls, the warship stirred. Lights rippled. Hums deep in the structure returned. It recognizes him, one scientist whispered. Or perhaps, another thought silently. It is choosing him. The first breakthrough came in the control chambers. Cade sat before a massive panel of alien glyphs, his hands hovering nervously. When he placed his palms on the surface, the symbols ignited with light. His breathing grew shallow, his pulse rapid. "What do you feel?" the scientist asked. Cade's voice was low, almost distant. It's alive. It's asking me questions. It doesn't use words, it uses feelings. It wants to know who we are." The soldiers watching shifted uneasily. One whispered, "Or maybe it wants to know how to kill us." But the scientists pressed Cade forward. Hours passed. Sometimes the glyphs responded with warmth, other times with violent shocks. Once, Cade screamed and collapsed, clutching his head as if the ship had poured raw noise into his mind. Yet he always returned, driven by something he could not explain. "The ship listens," he insisted. "It doesn't trust us, but it's curious." Not everyone shared his patience. The generals wanted results. They demanded control over weapons, shields, engines. Each week without progress made them more desperate. And so, they ordered new experiments. Pilots were strapped into chairs built near the alien controls. Electrodes linked their brains to the panels, forcing a connection. The results were disastrous. Some pilots blacked out, blood running from their noses. Others screamed until their hearts stopped. Only Cade survived these connections for more than minutes. One scientist, Dr. Alara Voss, warned them. "The ship is not a tool. It is not a weapon to be forced. It is more like a partner, or an animal. You must earn its trust." But the generals ignored her. They pushed harder. One night, without warning, the warship came alive on its own. Lights flared across its hull, brighter than ever. A deep vibration shook the entire dock, rattling scaffolds and knocking men from their feet. Sirens wailed. The warship's cannons began to glow. Panic spread through the control center. "Shut it down. Kill the power. Fire suppression teams, now." But no human system was powering the ship. It was awakening itself. Inside the control chamber, Cade was already there, his hands pressed to the panels. His face was pale, sweat dripping, but his voice was steady. "It's testing us," he whispered. "What do you mean?" Dr. Voss demanded. Cade's eyes flicked to her, glowing faintly in the reflection of alien light. "It wants to know if we are prey or partners." The cannons hummed louder. Energy rippled through the ship. For a moment, it looked as though the entire dock, and everyone inside it, would be vaporized. Then Cade screamed, his body convulsing against the panel. And suddenly, the light dimmed. The humming stopped. The warship fell silent again. Emergency crews rushed in, dragging Cade away. He was barely conscious, his pulse weak, his skin cold. Yet before he collapsed fully, he whispered words that chilled every scientist in the room. "It accepted me." From that moment, progress accelerated. Through Cade, the warship revealed fragments of its systems. Shields that could resist nuclear strikes. Engines capable of crossing the solar system in hours. Weapons that bent light and tore matter apart. But nothing was given freely. Each test drained Cade further. His eyes grew hollow, his body weak. The ship demanded more of him each time, as though feeding on his life. Dr. Voss protested. "You're killing him. The ship is using him." The generals ignored her warnings. If one man suffers for the survival of Earth, it is a price worth paying. And yet, there was something no one wanted to admit aloud. The ship was not just teaching them. It was learning them. Its systems adapted to human tools, reshaping interfaces to mimic human controls. Doors that once refused to open now slid wide at the approach of soldiers. Its lights pulsed in rhythm with human speech. It was changing, and perhaps wise, it was choosing. Not everyone could command it. Soldiers who tried were ignored. Scientists who demanded answers received nothing. But when Cade entered, when he whispered softly, when he showed respect instead of force, the ship obeyed. It was not loyalty to humanity. It was loyalty to him. Whispers spread through the project. Some called Cade the ship whisperer. Others called him the host. A few began to fear he was no longer fully human at all. One night, as Cade lay weak in the med bay, Dr. Voss asked him quietly, "Do you still feel like yourself?" Cade's eyes opened slowly. In the dim light, they glimmered faintly with an alien glow. His voice was soft, almost reverent. "I don't know," he said, "but I can feel it inside me. The ship, it dreams. And when it dreams, I dream with it." Dr. Voss felt a chill. She realized something terrible. Humanity was not just learning the alien machine. The alien machine was learning humanity. The warship had been silent for months. Teams studied it, fed it power, coaxed its systems into brief flickers of life. Daniel Cade, the listener, was its only real bridge, the only human it obeyed. Through him, humanity had gained glimpses of its weapons, its shields, its engines. But it had never shown its full strength. Until the night it woke on its own. It began with a tremor, a deep vibration that rolled through the secret dock, rattling scaffolds and shaking loose clouds of dust. Alarms blared. Technicians rushed to their stations, thinking it was an accident, a reactor leak, a power surge. But then the lights flared across the warship's hull. Not faint glows, not hesitant sparks, blazing lines of alien fire, running like veins across black metal. The warship was alive, fully alive, its cannons lit with terrible brilliance, casting shadows across the dock. Energy fields rippled outward, knocking human ships away like toys. Sirens screamed. Soldiers shouted intercoms. "Emergency! The ship is powering weapons. All crews evacuate. Dock integrity compromised." Panic spread like fire. In orbit above the asteroid belt, human fleets scrambled to respond. Captains demanded orders. Should they fire? Should they destroy the thing before it unleashed devastation? On Earth, world leaders were woken in the middle of the night. They watched grainy feeds of the warship's weapons glowing, energy readings climbing higher than anything their instruments could measure. "Shut it down," a general roared. "If that cannon fires, it could erase this entire station." But no human could shut it down. The warship was no longer listening to machines. It was listening only to itself. Inside the dock, scaffolds tore loose and floated away. Panels melted. The air filled with static. Soldiers fled in terror as the giant stirred, its presence overwhelming, suffocating. And yet, one man did not run. Daniel Cade. He pushed past the fleeing crews, his body weak but his steps steady, drawn toward the warship's heart. His ears rang with whispers only he could hear, alien voices, not in words but in emotions, curiosity, hunger, and something else, recognition. "It knows we're here," Cade whispered, his voice trembling. "It's testing us again." Dr. Alara Voss tried to stop him, grabbing his arm. "Daniel, if you go in there, it could kill you. It could kill all of us." But his eyes glowed faintly in the reflection of alien light. He shook his head. "No, it doesn't want to kill us. Not yet. It wants to see if we're worthy." And before she could stop him, he stepped inside. The bridge of the warship was alive with blinding glyphs. Symbols raced across the walls like fireflies, overlapping, spinning, merging into patterns no human could read. The air was thick with power, humming so loud it shook Cade's bones. He staggered to the central throne-like chair and pressed his hands to the control panel. The moment he touched it, the warship screamed. Not with sound, but with light. A beam of raw energy shot from one of its cannons, tearing across the asteroid belt. An entire mountain of rock shattered instantly, reduced to dust that scattered across the void. Every ship in the fleet pulled back in terror. Back on Earth, silence filled command centers. One scientist whispered what all of them feared. That weapon, it could split a planet. But Cade did not collapse. His voice rang out over comms, strained but clear. "I can control it. I can hold it back." Dr. Voss shouted into her mic, "Daniel, get out of there." "No." His eyes blazed as he forced his hands against the panel. The ship resisted, fighting him with alien force. His body trembled, veins standing out like wires. But slowly, terribly slowly, the lights dimmed. The humming lessened. The cannons cooled. The warship calmed. Billions on Earth watching the delayed broadcast saw only this: a single human figure inside the glowing alien ship, holding back a monster with his will alone. When the systems finally went dark, Cade collapsed to his knees, gasping. Sweat poured down his face. His pulse was weak, but he was alive. The dock was ruined, half its scaffolds destroyed, but humanity had survived. Debate erupted instantly. Some generals demanded the ship's destruction. This is madness. That thing is a doomsday machine. We cannot keep it here. Others were already celebrating. Do you not see? One man just held the most powerful weapon in the galaxy in his hands. This is proof. We can control it. We must. The council split in fury. Half feared the warship more than ever. Half hungered for it with greed. But all of them knew one truth. Humanity had crossed a line. The warship was no longer just a wreck to be studied. It was awake. And Earth's enemies, wherever they were, would not ignore that for long. Later, when the chaos had settled and crews worked to rebuild the dock, Dr. Voss confronted Cade in the medbay. You nearly killed us all, she said. You should be dead. Why did it listen to you? Cade stared at the ceiling, eyes still glowing faintly. His voice was tired, distant. Because I listened to it first. It doesn't see me as human anymore. It sees me as part of itself. Voss felt her stomach twist. You're saying it's bonding with you? Cade turned his head, meeting her eyes. His expression was calm, almost serene. No, I'm saying, I'm bonding with it. Outside the medbay window, the warship floated in silence once more. But the humans who watched it no longer saw a broken relic. They saw Earth's deadliest weapon, and none of them noticed the faint pulses of light still crawling across its hull. Pulses moving in patterns, spreading outward, like signals being whispered into the void. The warship was not just awake. It was calling. The alien warship no longer looked like a corpse. Months after the awakening, the secret dock had been rebuilt, reinforced with layers of armor and fleets standing guard. Floodlights lit the enormous hulk day and night, though no one dared call it a wreck anymore. It was alive, and it was listening. Through Daniel Cade, the listener, humanity had gained its first true victories in taming the machine. He alone could sit in the throne-like chair at its bridge, his hands pressed to the glowing panels, his mind linked to the ship's strange intelligence. And when he commanded, the ship obeyed. The first public demonstration came in orbit above Earth. Billions watched on screens as the alien warship drifted into view, escorted by human fleets like a king returning to his throne. Its black hull stretched for miles, symbols glowing faintly across its skin. At the order of the council, Cade gave the signal. The ship fired. One cannon lit with blinding energy, and a beam shot into the void. Far away, an asteroid the size of a mountain split in two, fragments scattering like dust. The world gasped. Reporters called it the God gun. Politicians called it the ultimate deterrent. Soldiers called it Earth's shield. For the first time in history, humanity did not feel weak beneath alien skies. They felt powerful. The test continued. The warship's shields could withstand nuclear detonations at close range. Its engines could cross the orbit of Jupiter in less than a day. Its drones, small insect-like machines that had once served alien crews, were now reprogrammed to respond to human commands. Every experiment proved the same terrifying truth. This single ship was stronger than every fleet humanity had ever built combined. It was no longer just a relic. It was Earth's deadliest weapon. But not everyone celebrated. In the hidden labs surrounding the project, scientists whispered of strange anomalies. Computers that crashed without reason. Instruments that displayed numbers too large to be real. Security cameras that flickered when the warship pulsed with light. And there was Cade himself. Each day, he looked less human. His eyes glimmered faintly in low light. His skin sometimes vibrated with static. Doctors reported changes in his brain activity, patterns they couldn't explain. Yet he showed no fear. When Dr. Ilara Voss confronted him, he only smiled faintly. The ship is teaching me. It's showing me how it thinks. We're not just controlling it. We're becoming part of it. Voss shivered. Daniel, you sound like it's replacing you. He shook his head. No, it's completing me. The council ignored such warnings. They were too busy basking in triumph. Broadcasts spread carefully managed footage to the public. The warship was revealed as a captured alien weapon, a trophy of human ingenuity. For the first time, nations that had once fought bitter wars stood united. "No enemy can threaten Earth now," declared the Council chairwoman. "With this ship, humanity stands ready to defend itself against any empire, any invader, any galaxy that dares challenge us." Crowds cheered. Streets filled with parades. Children waved flags, chanting the warship's new human name, Aegis Eternal. But not everyone cheered. In shadows, there were protests. Preachers warned of a chaos. Scholars warned of hubris. One protester sign said it best: "It is not ours. It is theirs." Meanwhile, the warship itself seemed to grow more cooperative. Doors that once resisted now opened freely. Systems that once ignored humans now adjusted to their touch. Its drones followed commands with precision. Some scientists celebrated this as proof of mastery. But Dr. Voss saw something else. "It's not surrendering," she told her colleagues quietly. "It's adapting, learning us. We think we're in control, but maybe it's only letting us believe that." Few listened. And still, the demonstrations grew bolder. One test lit the skies of Jupiter, the warship's cannons burning storms from the gas giant's atmosphere, carving scars miles wide. Another test sent the warship past Saturn, where its engines bent gravity in ways human ships could barely follow. Each success made Earth bolder. Each display made humanity prouder. But each test also carried unease. Because the warship never failed. Not once. It was as though it had always been waiting for this, waiting for hands to guide it again. Late one night, Cade stood alone in the bridge, his hands resting on the panel. He whispered softly, words only the ship could hear. "Why me?" And in his mind, the ship answered, not with words, but with feeling. Recognition, belonging, possession. Cade smiled faintly. He understood now. The ship had not been conquered. It had chosen. On Earth, leaders celebrated. The Council called it the dawn of a new age. "Humanity is no longer prey," they declared. "We are the hunters." But in quiet corners of the dock, scientists and soldiers whispered fears. What if the aliens came back? What if this ship was never abandoned? What if it was left here for humanity to find, like bait? No one dared voice such fears aloud. And so, while Earth celebrated its deadliest weapon, none noticed the faint pulses still crawling across the ship's hull. The same pulses Dr. Voss had seen before. Signals, reaching into the dark, carrying a message humanity could not read. Not a warning, not a cry for help. A beacon. The warship was not Earth's shield. It was Earth's signal flare. And somewhere, far away in the dark, something was listening. The warship hung in Earth's orbit like a god crowned in shadow. Its black hull reflected sunlight in harsh gleams, its glowing symbols pulsing like veins. The people below cheered every time its image appeared on screens. To them, it was a guardian angel, a promise that no invader would ever enslave humanity again. But in the hidden chambers of the Council, the mood was far less certain. Reports had begun to pile up. Strange energy spikes across deep space. Unusual distortions at the edge of the solar system. Faint signals, rhythmic, deliberate, like echoes bouncing back from the void. Signals that matched the warship's pulse. Dr. Elora Voss stood before the Council, her voice urgent. "This ship is not just a weapon. It's a transmitter. Every time we power it, every time Daniel enters its systems, it sends something out. A call. A beacon." One counselor scoffed. "Speculation. Fear-mongering. We've run dozens of tests. Nothing has attacked us." Voss slammed a report onto the table. "Because they haven't arrived yet. Don't you see? It's not ours. It was never meant for us. It's a seed. A lure. Something left behind on purpose." Her words echoed in the chamber, but no one replied. Meanwhile, Daniel Cade sat within the ship itself, listening. He no longer needed machines to connect. The link was permanent now, carved into his mind. He felt the ship's power humming under his skin, its thoughts brushing against his own like a second heartbeat. And tonight, it was restless. "They are coming," it whispered inside him. Not with words, but with certainty. Cade's eyes glowed faintly as he whispered back. Who is coming? The answer was not comfort. It was hunger, the ones who made me. 3 days later, the telescopes found them. At first, just faint glimmers. Then shadows blotting out stars. Then an armada stretching across the void. Warships beyond counting, sliding toward the solar system like predators scenting blood. The alien empire had heard the beacon, and they were coming home. Panic erupted on Earth. Broadcasts tried to soften the truth, but fear leaked through. Protests filled streets. Governments declared emergencies. Fleets scrambled to form a defense line near Jupiter, but the numbers were hopeless. Humanity had one weapon. The aliens had thousands. The council met in chaos. Can Aegis Eternal stop them? One demanded. It destroyed an asteroid in seconds. Surely it can. Against one fleet? Maybe. But this is extinction. All eyes turned to Daniel Cade. He stood calmly, his eyes faintly lit, his voice steady. The ship can fight them, but it won't fight for you. It will fight for me. The chamber fell silent. When the alien armada reached Neptune's orbit, Earth's fleets made their stand. Battleships fired every missile, every railgun, every desperate weapon. The void lit with fire. But the alien warships tore through them like paper. Human ships shattered, burning wreckage scattering across the black. And then, the Aegis moved. Daniel sat in its throne, his hands glowing against the panel. The warship roared to life, its cannons igniting with apocalyptic fury. Beams of white fire lanced through space. Entire alien cruisers were sliced in half, their remains spinning into nothingness. Drones poured from the warship like a swarm of hornets, carving through enemy fleets with surgical precision. For a moment, just a moment, humanity cheered. The Aegis Eternal was winning. But then, something changed. The alien ships stopped firing at humans. They turned their weapons on the Aegis alone, surrounding it, focusing their fury on reclaiming their lost child. And as Daniel fought to hold them back, he felt it. A shift. A pull. The ship was no longer just obeying him. It was listening to them too. The voices in his mind multiplied. Thousands of alien minds reaching through the link, flooding him with memories, commands, ownership. His scream echoed through the bridge. No, you left it. You abandoned it. The ship pulsed with blinding light. His body shook as though it were being rewritten, cell by cell. His voice cracked into something not human, not alien, but both. You don't own it anymore, he growled. It's mine. The final battle was chaos. The Aegis tore through fleets with impossible fury, destroying hundreds of ships. But with every blast, the alien voices pressed harder, trying to reclaim it. Human fleets fell back, powerless, watching as Daniel and the warship became something else entirely. Neither human nor alien, but a fusion of both. Dr. Voss, watching from a command station near Mars, whispered in horror. He's not fighting for us. He's fighting for himself. And she was right. Daniel was no longer saving humanity. He was no longer their listener. He was the warship. When the battle ended, silence ruled the void. Wreckage of alien ships floated across Neptune's orbit, burning slowly. Human fleets were crippled, barely surviving. And the Aegis Eternal was gone. No signal, no return. Vanished into the black, leaving only silence behind. On Earth, chaos reigned. Some called it victory. After all, the alien fleet was shattered. Others called it betrayal. No one knew if Daniel had been consumed, or if he had chosen to leave. Dr. Voss alone understood the truth. She stared at the stars and whispered, he didn't leave us. He left them. He's free now. But freedom for him is danger for us. Because some way, out in the dark, the warship still pulsed with light. Not as Earth shield, not as alien property, but as something new, something human, something hungry. And it was no longer waiting for anyone to come. It was choosing where to go.